What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron, and today we have 6 Dynasty assets you should be selling before the NFL draft. Now, I've been running around like a crazy person. We'll have an NFL mock draft, the final one, posted tonight. I think I have the same clothes on from yesterday. My hair's crazy, so I have a hat on. It's all madness, but we thrive in madness, and I think right now, even though it's a short pocket before the NFL draft, is a fun time to trade in Dynasty. We have some players that I think you should be looking to sell right before the draft because the draft is going to change a bunch of things, and then also just sells in general from looking at the overall landscape. So with all that being said, 6 Dynasty assets. Let's get straight into them. As always, if you enjoy, make sure down below, subscribe, leave a like. Let's go. Like this froze, ice cold, ice around my body like I'm frozen. She gon' let me. All right, now as always with these videos, the inspiration for these trade targets always comes from the rankings. You can check those out, patreon.com/Ron Stewart. You'll have a link in the description and the comment section down below. Click it, it'll take you to Patreon. My rankings are all on there for running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, every position. For every single player, every position in my top 250, I have buy and sell recommendations. These guys are all either soft sells or hard sells in those rankings. Now, the first guy we're going to talk about is a soft sell. Maybe the softest of sells. I have him on one team. I am not actively trying to trade him no matter what. I am not saying trade him for half a bag of chips. I am saying if you can get the haul that he is going for in some places, especially in 4-point passing touchdown leagues, you should explore those options. That's all I'm saying. I think it is malpractice not to do your due diligence and see the kind of offers you could get for CJ Stroud. Okay? Again, this is a good player, one of the rising stars in this league. He is very exciting. But what comes with that is a lot of hype going into year 2. He gets Stephon Diggs. He's now somebody on Keep Trade Cut who is valued closer to Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes than he is to your Lamar, Hurts, Burrow, Herbert tier. And he's done that after just a QB 8 points per game finish when both Mahomes and Josh Allen have multiple top 3 point per game finishes, with Josh Allen being I think 2 or 3 straight QB 1 point per game finishes. It's just not the same tier of what he's bringing to your team. Right now, a lot of his dynasty value is wrapped up in like what he could be, him being young and storing this youth on your roster, and that's fun. But again, I think now would be the time to capitalize because we also have this from Dynasty Data Lab. I'll make sure I put this link in the description or the comment section, I mean. But he has pick probability. This is a Daco. We've used his data for years now, and it shows what percentage of the time CJ Stroud is available in your Dynasty startup draft. And you can see, of course, 100% of the time he's available at the 1 spot. At the 2 spot, he's available 94% of the time. So that's 6% of startups right now are taking CJ Stroud at the 102. On top of that, that's 6% of startup drafts taking him at the 101. So he is 6% of startups he's getting taken at the 101. And then that 79% number means 21% of the time he is getting taken in the top 2 picks. So that's 1 in every 5 startup drafts. CJ Stroud is going either ahead of Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. To me, that says the hype is getting a little bit out of hand. So what I went and did is I found historically, now this is kind of a vintage Ron Stewart video here, where we went back and we looked at the data. And this is every quarterback season, every rookie quarterback season with 16 or more points per game, and then what they did in year 2, and then also how many rush attempts per game they had in year 1. Because that's my biggest holdup with CJ Stroud, is he doesn't scramble a lot. And that's fine for real life and 6-point passing touchdowns. I can't stress enough, in 6-point passing touchdowns, you can hold on to CJ Stroud in those leagues. If it's a 4-point passing touchdown league, then I think that is worth talking about selling CJ Stroud. Because you can see here, there's all this hype for Stroud. But when we look at his 2023 rank, right? So this chart here, you have the rank. So CJ Stroud has the 4th best rookie point per game season ever, behind Cam Newton, Justin Herbert, and Robert Griffin III. You can see in 2023, Cam Newton would have been the QB1, Justin Herbert would have been the QB2, Robert Griffin III would have been the QB2, CJ Stroud was the QB8. Then we have their 2023 rank. Of course, we don't know that yet for CJ Stroud, but Cam Newton stayed about the same at that like 20-plus point per game area, actually decreased. I believe that'll be like 13% changed there. Justin Herbert stayed about the same. Robert Griffin III fell off. So all those guys that had 20-plus points per game in their first year, not a lot of them like went above and beyond and went crazy. And kind of across the board, you can see, I mean, Dak Prescott below C.J. Stroud. He went down to 16.3 points per game. Kyler Murray went up to 23.7 points per game. But here's my issue. Kyler Murray had 5.8 rush attempts per game in his rookie year. So because of his scrambling, he had that massive ceiling. C.J. Stroud's a little bit tougher. Like, you need him. If you want him to, like, truly... Right now, he's priced as a top 3 quarterback in Dynasty. If you want him to finish as a top 3 quarterback in fantasy football next year, he needs to have MVP-level passing numbers because the scrambling isn't there. Is it entirely possible? Sure. But we've seen a lot of the time, or a bunch of the time, where these rookie quarterbacks come out, they have a great first year, and they regress a little bit in year 2. It's not my expectation, but there's a wide range of outcomes here where you can get burned, where there was a clear sell point after year 1. Joe Burrow increased, but Josh Allen did a little bit better. But in terms of guys like hitting 20-plus points per game in that year 2 spot, it's Kyler, it's Cam Newton, it's Justin Herbert. Can he be in that area? Sure. But all of those guys had 3 or more rush attempts per game. Cam Newton, Kyler Murray were like big Konami code guys. Justin Herbert was a guy who had 20-plus points per game already in year 1. So it's a big ask for him to climb to those heights. So what I'm saying is, with all of these expectations, what he needs to do to maintain this price in Dynasty, you're going to have somebody else pop off next year, whether that's a Caleb Williams or whether that's an Anthony Richardson. There's going to be movement among these top quarterbacks, and it's always been a musical game of musical chairs, right? Where Jalen Hurts has been the consensus 103 for the last couple of years. Now it's C.J. Stroud. Before that, you had like Herbert and Burrow in that area, and like even Kyler at times and Lamar at times. And it really has been, outside of Mahomes and Josh Allen, kind of a carousel game of like who can be the next guy after those two. And more oftentimes than not, it's been advantageous to just sell off of that guy and move back. Like I just think it makes sense. If you can net a first, multiple firsts to move from C.J. Stroud to Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Lamar, like you don't even have to move down much further to like Dak or Trevor Lawrence. Like you can stay in that first round and still net good draft capital while doing it. Or I love the idea. What does it cost to go from C.J. Stroud to Mahomes or from C.J. Stroud to Josh Allen? Is it less than a first? I saw somebody on Twitter, I think they did like Lamar and DeAndre Swift to go to Josh Allen. Can you do C.J. Stroud and like something like very marginal to go to Josh Allen to Mahomes? I don't think you can do it in every league, but I'm just saying I think it would be dumb not to at least explore what people are willing to pay for C.J. Stroud. Now, when we look at what he's going for, shout out to Dynasty Daddy. He actually ended up altering the website for us a little bit here. He tracks all of their search millions of fantasy football trades across actual leagues. The database updates every 8 hours. It's a sick thing that he has. It's public. And he actually added this for us, where like sometimes there's just like too many trades. So we're going to cut it off at like max. We'll do max 5 assets and see what that looks like. So this is going to be Dynasty, 2 quarterback leagues. What is C.J. Stroud going for? Is there anything really good? C.J. Stroud for the 102. I mean, that's crazy. These are actually crazy. I wouldn't do any of these. Let's see. Stroud for Hurts, the 112, the 212. I would debate this, but it's not a ton here. C.J. Stroud, the 104, a 25 first for Bijan and Allen. I don't hate that, but that seems a bit like I'm not trying to acquire all of that. Let's see. Is there anything for... So C.J. Stroud, you can do Kyler Murray in a future first. I think I would want more. I did get roasted in the chat or in the comments last time because it's like, Ron, you say to buy or sell these players and you look at the offers and they're not as sexy. Well, I'm saying to be selective. You know, I don't want you to take the first thing that comes across your desk when it comes to C.J. Stroud. This is the 102 at 25. No, sir. Jalen Hurts for Stroud straight up. I can't get there. Let's see. I feel like there has to be something juicier than this. See, this is what I'm talking about. If you can do C.J. Stroud in a 26 first to get to Josh Allen, that's what I'm talking about. Like, these are the kind of offers that you should be looking at. I'm not saying to liquidate him for Pickens and picks in the future. Jordan Love, the 106 and the 205, I can't get there. Is there anything else? Oh, Burrow in the 10. Oh, this I think I would do. This is pretty much Burrow in the 107 for C.J. Stroud. I would do that in a heartbeat. What else sticks out? We'll pick out one more. Stroud a 25 first for Josh. Oh, I would do this in a heartbeat, man. So I think what this is showing us is that instead of trying to tear down from Stroud, down to your Burrows, down to your, Lamars, Kylers, see what it would cost to get to Josh Allen. I think that that's really what it's going to come down to here. See what it would cost to go to Mahomes. No, that's just a fake trade. So yeah, like this. Like if you can package a late first in Stroud and make that Josh Allen, I think you absolutely should. Christian Kirk, yeah. So this is what I'm talking about here. I would do this too. This isn't a terrible tear down either. You go from Stroud to Lawrence, and you can lock in one of Neighbors, Marv, May, Daniels, plus Trevor Lawrence. So those are kind of deals I'd be looking for again. A lot of these videos I do for sells, like these are like must sells or hard sells. Stroud is not that. I know I'm going to have people in the comments saying, well, you're an idiot. Why would you sell Stroud? Whatever. I'm saying explore your options because I think that, if you can add a late first to Stroud and get to Josh Allen, you need to do that no matter the case. Now, after that, we have more, urgent sells here. And first up, I'll say A.J. Brown. And this is another tough one because I think in real life, there's a lot of talent. A.J. Brown has been a darling of this channel since its inception. We have always loved A.J. Brown. I will always love A.J. Brown. He is one of my favorite players ever. He is amazing. I just think that if you can dangle A.J. Brown and get yourself a big boy top 5 2024 rookie pick, I think you should at least just see what the options are. Because again, with A.J. Brown, he's really good, right? When we look at targets per out run, he was top 12 last year, top 10 in first downs per out run, top 10 in yards per out run. ESPN's tracking data since he's been drafted has him as the best receiver in football since that 2019 season when he was drafted. He has been amazing. Now, the issue with him is that he's getting older, which means he needs to score points. And he hasn't scored enough points to be one of these Tyreek Hill guys who stays in the top 12 Dynasty wide receivers because they're giving you 20-plus point per game seasons. He is not there right now. Right now, outside of Tyreek Hill, he is the only wide receiver over 25 years old in the top 12 Dynasty wide receivers on Keep Trade Cut, not named Tyreek Hill. So again, what that means is he needs to start scoring a lot of fantasy points because you can see here, he's 26.8 years old. He will be 27 years old in week 1. The only reason Tyreek Hill is here is because he's put up 20-plus points per game each of the last 2 years, 3 of the last 4 years. He has done that. Whereas A.J. Brown has now gone 5 years into the NFL, and we are yet to have him not only hit 20-plus points per game, he has yet to hit 18-plus points per game, and he has yet to finish as a top 5 point per game wide receiver. Again, he's very good. He's very efficient, but in terms of like difference-making massive upside, he hasn't been there yet, where he's been the guy in the NFL. And when you're 27 years old in Dynasty, that's the range you need to be at this point to retain this value. And as much as the talent is there, I have a hard time seeing him stay as this round 2-3 startup pick. And on top of that, I have a hard time seeing how he would ever, this is probably where his value peaks, right? Like he's a 2-3 round turn in startup picks, startup drafts right now. I don't know how he becomes like an early second. Like he was that a couple years ago. He would need like a Tyreek Hill type season. And I have a really hard time seeing that because I think Kev put it really well here. A.J. Brown's fantasy points per game in Philadelphia, wide receiver 8, playing in lowish volume passing offense thanks to Hurts, while alongside a stud like Devontae Smith will continue to keep him capped from top-end upside outside my top 10 Dynasty wide receivers. And again, when you're 27, you need that top-end upside. When we actually break it down, I found 20-plus point per game wide receiver seasons since 2021. It's like roughly 10 or 11 of them. And you can see in terms of passing touchdowns per game and pass attempts per game, the last 2 years, A.J. Brown hasn't had either. Now, you need like one or the other to get there, or you just need to be like Tyreek Hill. A.J. Brown, is he as good as Tyreek Hill? Sure, but he's not in a Mike McDaniel offense. He's not going to have the touchdowns there. At least Tyreek Hill with 1.76 passing touchdowns per game, that's doable. For him to hit 20-plus points per game, you're asking for like a Debo season where he needs like rushing touchdowns. And the biggest issue is the Eagles having low passing volume, right? So 31.5 pass attempts per game in 2022, 33.1 pass attempts per game in 2023. The only player on this list with lower than that was Deebo Samuel, like his weird, like crazy upside or crazy efficiency season with a lot of rushing touchdowns. A.J. Brown getting that in an offense with Jalen Hurts, where Jalen Hurts is taking up a lot of the rushing touchdowns, is tough. Now, if you wanted to make the case that with Jason Kelce gone and less tush pushes, we'll see more touchdowns for A.J. Brown. But my thing is, I think that we'll just see that evenly distributed. We'll have more touchdowns for Saquon. We'll have more touchdowns for Dallas Goedert, more touchdowns for Devonta Smith, and more touchdowns for A.J. Brown. And I don't think that it's going to spike him up that much. So that's really my biggest issue here is, again, it's a low-volume passing offense with a quarterback who's really good in the red zone. He's next to Devonta Smith. He's aging, and it's just tough to see a path for him to be like he needs to be, like when we're talking about wide receivers who have retained top 12 dynasty value, you need 20-plus points per game, right? We're talking like Devontae Adams at the tail end of his Packers career. We're talking Tyreek Hill right now. We're talking Michael Thomas at his absolute peak with the Saints. And in this offense, I just have a tough time seeing how he gets there. So if I could sell A.J. Brown, I would. Now, again, I'm not like scrambling to get him off my team. He's a good player. He'll be a mid to low range wide receiver one for your team. But if you can sell him for one of those top picks, I think I would. Now, when we're looking at Dynasty Daddy and the trade offers out there, the trade sent out there, A.J. Brown, Swift. Oh, I would do this all day. If I could make some kind of swap for A.J. Brown for Puka Nacua, I would do that all day long. Being able to sell Swift and Deshaun Watson for the 105 is a crazy plus on top of that. This is another one where I could go AJ. I don't even really want to buy 111s, or actually, no, I don't think I would do this. I would need, instead of this to be 111, or actually instead of this being like, I would want a top 5 pick. I would want a top 5 pick for me to move off of AJ Brown. Let's see. That's really what we're aiming for here. AJ Brown in the 105 to get to A-Rich in the 110. That's like about even. I'm not crazy about it though. AJ Brown plus a first to get to Puka. That's a bit rich for me. This I would do. If I could just add I don't really even like selling future first, but if you could somehow package a future first and get Jamar Chase, Jefferson, or CeeDee Lamb, I would do that all day long. Is there any AJ Brown, Purdy, and Saquon? That's like about even, but I would do that. AJ Brown, I'm looking for like a top 5 pick here. AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill for the 102 and JSN. If I was like rebuilding, I guess that's a fine move. Can I get a top 5 pick in one of these? Jamar Chase and Richardson for AJ Brown and Justin Herbert. I'd actually do that if that was an option, and I'm not even really looking to sell Herbert right now. AJ Brown in the 108 to get to the 101. I actually kind of love that. If that's something that you're looking for, if you want a Caleb in your life. We'll pick out one. Oh, this is a smash. If you can, that's not even like a first of value to add to Brown to get the CeeDee Lamb. I am looking for like. Let me actually just search up the 105 real quick. So give me the rookie 105. Is there anything out there? Yeah, so like AJ Brown for the 105 and a future first, like that's an absolute smash. These are the kind of deals I'd be looking for. I don't know how realistic they are. But again, if I could get a top 5 pick and then some extra on top for AJ Brown, I think I would have no problem selling at that price. I think as of today in the Dynasty rankings, I have Malik Neighbors over AJ Brown right now, and he seems to kind of be like worst case. Like I think I would have almost everybody that would be at the 105 over AJ Brown. We'll see how landing spots shake out, but again, it pains me to say it. I love AJ Brown. This channel has loved AJ Brown, but in Dynasty, he's kind of this like weird tweener asset where he's not giving you enough high-end upside, and he's no longer this like young wide receiver with like a ton of talent. He still has a ton of talent, but he's getting towards the latter part of his age, and that's when we kind of need to, move off of players in Dynasty and be early rather than late. Now, with this next one, we have Dalton Kincaid. He is somebody that since the Stephon Diggs trade has increased his value in a crazy manner. This is from Dynasty Data Lab. This is again an Adico project, and you can see he goes from, early March, late February is like the 506 in startups, and now being the 402. He is somebody right now where if you look at startups, he is valued as the tight end 3. He is pretty much a tier ahead of Kyle Pitts and Mark Andrews, and really not that far off of Trey McBride, and that to me is just too rich. I would be looking to, if I could sell Dalton Kincaid and get to Kyle Pitts or get to Mark Andrews and net something extra, I would. Same thing with Kelsey. If I could move down to Kelsey and net something extra, I would. And then I think the biggest one is I would be really looking to see if I could sell Kincaid. You'd have to time it up weird, like during the rookie draft. But if you could find a way to sell Kincaid, even if you have to add a little bit on top, if you can sell Kincaid for the rookie pick that would be Brock Bowers, I would be all over it. Right now, Dalton Kincaid is 24 and a half years old. So he's like a really, really old second-year guy. He's propped up by a lack of competition in Buffalo right now, which is always something that I look to fade during the offseason. And I think that Sam Sherman here puts it beautifully. He's somebody that he does some stuff over at Ship Chasing. He's done some articles with Established to Run. He's really, really good. He said, admittedly reductive comparison, but interesting nonetheless. When we look at 2023, Jake Ferguson, 81 targets, 850 yards, 8 touchdowns on 108 targets. 81 catches. I think I said that. In 18 games played, just under 1.5 yards per out run, 19% target per out run, 25 years old. Kincaid, 81 catches, 777 yards, 3 touchdowns on 101 targets in 18 games played. Right around 1.5 yards per out run, 20% target per out run, 24.5 years old. So their profiles are remarkably similar, even including factors like 8.7 for Kincaid, 6.3 for Ferguson. Obviously, the presence of CeeDee Lamb means Ferguson has no chance to be the team's top pass catcher, whereas you can squint and Kincaid can be the wide receiver 1 in Buffalo. Ultimately, I think the ADP gap between them is too big. If I'm paying up for a tight end, I want more certainty on the elite talent, which in my opinion can come with Kittle, Andrews, and McBride. If I want a Kincaid-esque profile, I'll just wait it out. And I completely agree where there's just not a lot to like. Like, we're talking like a low ADOT tight end that's like not crazy after the catch. He's not super efficient before the catch because of the ADOT. His yards per out run's not that great. And his splits with and without Dawson Knox are legitimately concerning, where in 11 games with Dawson Knox, he had 7.4 points per game. In 5 games without him, 4.2 points per game. Here's the thing. Dawson Knox is beloved in Buffalo. I think that something happened with his family. I think maybe his brother passed away. Like, the whole city rallied around it. He's one of the highest paid tight ends in the league as well. This is Dawson Knox's contract. They can't get out of this contract until 2026. So that is minimum 2 seasons more with Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox will be on this team in the mix in 2024 and in 2025. That's 2 more seasons. He won't be off of this team until Dalton Kincaid is going to be turning 27. That's tough. Like, that's brutal to me. Then we look at what Mike Clay has him projected at. Mike Clay has him as the tight end 8 right now. Like, right around, like, less than Evan Ingram, less than David Njoku. And yes, you can say Kyle Pitts is tight end 9. I'm a bit more optimistic with Kyle Pitts, where his ADOT's at least high enough for him to get, a lot of efficiency on his yards per out run stuff. We've seen in his first 2 seasons, his yards per out run was really good. He was very efficient. He had over 1,000 receiving yards as a rookie. It's a little bit different with Kincaid, where it's so much low ADOT and like almost like, we're going to talk about him later, but like almost Josh Downs type usage, or we're talking like low ADOT tight end in an offense where Josh Allen is always going to be looking to scramble on the goal line. They brought in Joe Brady, who Joe Brady last season was using the running backs a lot more. So it's just like this tough scenario where I don't see him getting enough touchdowns to outweigh the low ADOT. He's old. So in Dynasty, you're playing like a really tough game, and all of the situation stuff of him being propped up by an empty wide receiver room is going to fade in 36 hours because the Bills are very much live to take a first-round wide receiver. I've seen them even rumored to like want to be drafted to trade up and take a Brian Thomas or trade up and take one of the big 3 at the top. Right now they're minus 240, which is implying them, I don't know, I think that's implying like 70% odds that they take a wide receiver with their first drafted player. Right now the overwhelming consensus that they're going to add pass catchers in this draft, and that is going to dampen Dalton Kincaid's projection and his perception in Dynasty. So if I could sell right now, I would. Now, when we look at what he's selling for, let's see where he's going on Dynasty Daddy. And we scroll down. What do we got? Can we do, let's see, what does it take to get me to Kelsey? Kincaid to Kelsey. Can I get a first? Okay, so only 2, but I would, if I could get Kelsey and a top 8 pick, This would be a dream. Like, I don't know who made this trade. Sometimes I have you guys in the comments, like, you'll comment and be like, that was my trade. Whoever made this trade, I would love to shake your hand because this is beautiful. Like, this is exactly what I'm looking to do when I'm offloading Kincaid. He has a lot of fans right now, man. Like, a lot of people really, really like Kincaid, and that would be a spot where I'd be looking to offload him. Kincaid for Pitts, like, almost straight up there. Let's go, like, 6 assets. I don't know. That's too many parts. Yeah, so I guess Pitts is a little bit tougher. I think that's going to be closer for people. I can't do... I don't think I can do for... Yeah. I don't think that there's going to be any trades with Bowers. There's no way. Yeah. Because we haven't had rookie drafts yet. But let's say it's like... Let's say like the 108 will be like right around where we're looking for... right around where we're looking for Bowers. Kincaid, pretty much like the 108 trade up there. I love this. If you have to throw something back, like if you have to do like... I don't know, if you have to do like Kincaid in like an early second or a mid-second to get there, I would. Damn, so a lot of these are like Kincaid straight up for the 108. Personally, I would be able to do that, but it doesn't seem like you're getting a ton of value. I do want to see what else we have to look through here. I'm not looking to buy Purdy. Kincaid for Trey McBride in a third. Yeah, I mean, if you can sell Kincaid for Trey McBride, like even if you have to add like a third on your side, I would do that all day long. Trey McBride to me just seems like a better player. Kincaid, yeah, I mean like that's nothing to get to Laporta. I would do that all day. This is what I'm talking about. Kincaid in a second to get to the 103. Yes. I even don't hate this. I would prefer it to be a top 7 or top 8 pick in this draft. But if you can get meaningful draft capital on top of like an Evan Ingram, I don't hate that either. Again, one of these like Kincaid for McBride swaps. And we'll look for one more. Kincaid and like some thirds for Waddle. I don't hate that. I want one that I think is like a slam dunk. Let's see. Kincaid and Kittle for Laporta. I would do that, but that's not like a slam dunk to me. But you guys get what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm looking for top 8 picks. I'm looking to tier down to tight ends. If this was the 108, I wouldn't hate this. Oh, Kincaid in a second for Drake London in a second. I would do that all day as well. So definitely just kick the tires on what you can do with Dalton Kincaid. I mean, there's just no way that that's a real trade you can do. But this is what I'm talking about. Like, I don't even think you have to add anything to get to Mark Andrews. But if you can turn Kincaid into Mark Andrews, especially Mark Andrews plus, I absolutely think that you should. Same thing with this. If I could sell for a top 6 pick, sign me up any day of the week. Now, the next player we have as a sell here is going to be Isiah Pacheco. And especially before the draft here, because I'd be concerned that he could see a similar fate to Tyjae Spears, where Tyjae Spears was a 7th round pick in startups. Right now, Pacheco is like about a 6th round pick. And the minute Tony Pollard got signed, he became a 9th round pick, and now he's fallen all the way to the early 10th. I could see a similar fall to Pacheco where he's like a 6th right now. They draft somebody on round 2 or round 3, and he goes from a 6th round pick to like a late 7th, early 8th. I think that's all on the board for him. And I'm just always very scared, is what I would say, with these day 3 running backs. We've seen it over the last few years that I've been doing this. We've seen it with James Robinson. We've seen it with Elijah Mitchell. We've seen it with Phil Lindsay. We've seen it. I mean, you just see it all the time. I'm trying to think of like some of those other late round guys, but a lot of the times you see guys they pop early. Jordan Howard's another one. They pop early, and after a couple of years, they kind of just get kicked to the curb. I would love to just sell while I could on Isiah Pacheco, who's like a 6th round startup pick right now, before especially this NFL draft where there's a lot of running backs that could go 3rd round, late day 2, and that's what the Chiefs are picking. The Chiefs have the last pick in the 2nd round. They have the last pick in the 3rd round, last pick in the 4th round. That's all prime real estate for this crop of running backs. You have Trey Benson, Jalen Wright, Marshawn Lloyd, Blake Corum, Jonathan Brooks, all guys that could go in that range of picks that the Chiefs have. And I think it's very telling that we saw the Chiefs genuinely kick the tires on J.K. Dobbins. They had J.K. Dobbins in the building. They end up re-signing Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I think that them even hosting J.K. Dobbins tells you that they're looking to add a running back. I don't know what day of the draft it's going to be, but they are looking to add a running back in this room just because it is a bad room. They don't have Jerick McKinnon. It's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Everybody's like under 1.5 million in this room. You have Michael Pirine, Keontae Ingram, Deneric Prince. It's nothing. They're going to add to this room. It's just a matter of what round they do it in. And that would scare the hell out of me because we've seen a lot of the times. This is, again, I told you, this is a vintage Ron Stewart video where we went back and I found every day 3 running back, so rounds 4 through 7 rookie running backs that had 240 or more PPR points in their first 2 years since 2000. And then you have what they did in year 3, so their year 3 points per game. Did their team draft a running back that year? In what round did that running back get drafted in? We have the guy who's at the top. I was 2 years old when this guy was drafted, so I don't know who this is, Dominic Williams. But he had 550 PPR points in his first 2 years, and his team still drafted a guy in round 3. You have Alfred Morris. He flamed out to 11.7 points per game after a great first 2 years. Jordan Howard flamed out. You have Devontae Freeman as a good hit, but then you have Tariq Cohen, who the team drafted David Montgomery directly after Tariq Cohen had been great his first couple years. Mike Anderson, similar fate. I will say, Mike Anderson, I did some research. He was weird. He was like a 27-year-old rookie. So it makes some sense that they looked to replace him, but they took Clinton Portis in the second round after Mike Anderson was actually really good. Ramondre Stevenson flamed out last year, and he was someone I actually liked, but we just know a lot of these guys, and you look at the guys who scored more points than Isiah Pacheco in their first 2 years, and outside of Devontae Freeman and this Dominic Williams guy from 2003, all of them disappointed. Then you have Andre Ellington right under Pacheco, which they drafted David Johnson. Marion Barber's a hit. You have Latavius Murray, who's a hit. Michael Carter got replaced by Breece Hall in his second year. I guess you could sort of call Marlon Mack a hit here. Nyheim Hines gets replaced by Jonathan Taylor. Aaron Jones, the other big hit, and then Chris Carson's the other big hit. And when you kind of distill this entire chart down, what you get is among 20 running backs, 21 is on that list because of Pacheco, but the 20 running backs not named Pacheco, 25% of them had 15 more points per game in year 3. So that's not a great hit rate to be like a meaningful running back in fantasy. And then 25% of them had a running back drafted on day 2 heading into their third year. So we're talking about a 25% chance that Pacheco doesn't ever hit like a 15-plus point per game season from here on out, and then a 25% chance that he gets replaced in the draft this year, on top of him being, he's good, but he doesn't have like a crazy receiving upside. He's kind of just the Chiefs running back, and if I could sell on situation in Dynasty, I absolutely would. Especially, when we're talking about right now where like running backs are very scarce. So it's a weird time to sell running backs, but if I could before the draft, I would at least just see what you could get for Pacheco. Now, I'm not really expecting these offers to be anything too crazy, but I'd like to at least see what he's going for. Pacheco for Fields. See, I would be looking, I don't think you'll get the 103 for this package, but like Pacheco, Deshaun Watson, if I could do some kind of bundle and like add him into a bundle and get, like, even if this wasn't the 103, if this was like the 10, if this was like the 107 or if this was the 108, I would do it. Pacheco for a late first, I don't love it. If I could do Pacheco to get into Will Levis, or even, I don't even really like Bryce Young, but just a quarterback with upside, I wouldn't hate it. Pacheco for any future first. You give me a 25 random first, a 26 random first, that's probably enough for me to get there. Pacheco and a piece to get to the 109. I'd really prefer that be the 108. Let's see. Pacheco and Garrett Wilson for Breece, I can't do it. Pacheco, you're not getting 2 future firsts, but again, if I could get any future first for Pacheco, I probably would. Pacheco, let's find one more. Pacheco, Drake London, and a 206 for the 104. That seems very steep. Pacheco in the 101. I will say, if you're out here trying to make one of these deals where like you're selling the 101 and like trying to get a big haul, I love the idea of just like shoving Pacheco into that deal and just offloading him and using that to get either draft capital or like a young receiver. I'm all for that. I think I would. We're gonna like have late first as a sell in this video, but if I could turn Pacheco into like really any first in any year, I think I would. This year, I don't think you're going to be able to get with the 108. Even if I had to add like a second or, a future second, something like that, I think I would. So you can see you're not going to get, Pacheco for Debo, I don't hate that at all either. You're not going to get anything too crazy for Pacheco, but I would definitely just explore your options. I would love the idea, okay, this is actually a really good one. If you can take Pacheco, and let's say you have like a late first, like the 111, the 112, whatever, I don't know that that's enough to get to the 104, but if that's enough to get you into like the top 8 of your rookie draft, I absolutely would use Pacheco to bundle with a late first to move into that top half of your rookie draft. Now, our last player we're going to talk about today, I already said we're going to be talking through Dynasty assets. So we actually have rookie picks after this, but we have what made me think of it, because sometimes you guys are like, well, no one's selling that guy. Nobody wants him, which is like kind of fair. Like if everybody has a player as a buy, then is he really a buy if everyone's trying to buy him? Or if he's a sell and everyone's trying to sell him, is he really a sell? And I love JJ Zachariason. We had him on. He's the man. He literally is one of the coolest guys I've had to talk to behind the scenes, but he's a big Josh Downs guy. I'm also a big Josh Downs guy. You guys know the RS grades had him as an elite wide receiver. I was stunned he was a 3rd round pick, but if I could take some of this like second year upside, people being really excited about that, I would sell on that enthusiasm, because we have a couple of things that aren't going great for Josh Downs. First up, we had Ryan Heath on a few weeks ago, and he talked through the idea of first downs per out run, and Josh Downs stuck out as somebody that struggles in this metric. Now, when we look at big play merchants, who are players who rank significantly better in yards per out run than they did in first downs per out run, normal players whose yards per out run and first downs per out run were within 10 percentiles of each other, and possession merchants, guys who are better at first downs per out run than yards per out run, we can see these big play merchants that were better in yards per out run than first downs per out run are a pretty bad hit rate bucket, where you can see just 4 out of 26 of these big play merchants in his sample went on to increase their yards per out run. So 85% of them that following season decreased in yards per out run. And if you decrease in yards per out run, you're probably not a great player. And Josh Downs fits into this bucket, where he had a 65th percentile yards per out run, 44th percentile first downs per out run, which qualifies him in that big play merchant bucket, where he's not an engine of your offense. He's not moving the chains. He just has big plays on his limited amount of routes. And that's concerning. What's also concerning is his low ADOT. He had a 7.4 ADOT last year. He was 77th in first downs per out run, 51st in yards per out run, 57th in targets per out run, 143rd in ADOT. And if you're not going to like score touchdowns, if you're not going to command like a 25% target share, it's going to be really tough for you to produce in a meaningful way. Like I don't know how he finishes in the top like even 24 with that kind of ADOT, especially considering the offense that he's in. Like it's all this big picture thing where his first downs per out run were concerning. Then on top of that, you take that his ADOT is super low, so it's tough to be efficient. Well, on top of that, he's going to have a tough time being efficient, especially when he needs to be efficient in a low passing volume offense, because he's going to be with Anthony Richardson, who runs the ball a ton. We look at Mike Clay's projections here. He has them at the 31st most dropbacks and the 29th most pass attempts. That is super low volume to the tune of just the wide receiver 62 for Josh Downs. That's where he has him projected as of right now, despite Richardson being the QB8 in fantasy. So that's brutal. Then you have on top of that, he was a better receiver in the games with Gardner Minshew than he was with Anthony Richardson early on. So Anthony Richardson is not good news for Josh Downs. His ADOT is too low for him to be efficient enough to offset the low volume issue. We also have the red flags of his first down per out run not being up to par with his yards per out run. And then on top of that, you have the Colts wrapped up in all kinds of rumors right now to get wide receiver. Now, they're not quite like the Bills, just plus 250 to add a wide receiver, but we've seen people like Schrager have them come up and take Malik Neighbors. I've seen them come up and take Brock Bowers. Like, this is a team very much in the mix to make a splash, to get a pass catcher, and if it's not on day one, it's on day two. Like, this is a team that's routinely mocked guys like Ricky Pearsall. This is a team that is very likely to add a meaningful tight end or a meaningful wide receiver, and that just doesn't bode well for Josh Downs when we are competing for targets in a low-volume passing offense. So again, if I could sell on kind of the enthusiasm of Josh Downs, as much as I do like him and I liked him as a prospect, it's just a bad situation for him to produce fantasy points for as long as Anthony Richardson is there. Now, when we look at what he's going for on Dynasty Daddy, what's this? Downs, Moss, and a 26 first to get to the 105. I love that all day long. Downs, Chubb, Devontae Adams, and the 212 to get to McCaffrey. That seems like a lot, but I wouldn't be like all that opposed to it. Josh Downs, I wouldn't mind Josh Downs for like an early second. I think I could get around to doing something like that. I would love the idea of adding Josh Downs to a late first and making a move that way. Josh Downs and Miles Sanders for a future first. Same thing with Josh Downs. I would sell him for really any future first if I could get it. Yeah, if I had to add Josh Downs to Okonkwo to get a 26 first, I would do that as well. Downs for the 201 and 310. I think I would actually do this as well. Let's see. No, that's just a fake trade. Downs in a 2025 third for Rashee Rice. I would actually do this all day long. I am curious to see, can I add a trade asset? Damn, I'm not sure if this is going to work, but what if I did like the 112 and Josh Downs? Oh, I can, okay. What if I did the 112 and Josh Downs? What does that get you? James Cook? That's not what I'm looking for. What about the 111? Does that? Yeah, see, this is what I don't think you're going to get the 103, but if this was like, say, like the 108 or the 107, and you can move up from like your late first into the top 8 picks by using Josh Downs, I think you absolutely should. Like, that's the kind of deal I'm looking for. I don't hate this either if you're looking for a running back, but you guys get what I'm saying. Package a late first with Josh Downs. See what you can get. If you can get a late first, if you can sort of package him with something and get something a little bit sexier, I would. And the reason why I keep saying, bundle your late first, like, because I don't think you're going to get something crazy for a late first straight up, but you take a late first, you take one of the guys in this video and see what you can kind of tier up to, because I think that it's worth exploring those options, because late firsts, I would be selling. We did this rookie mock up. We talked about it on the buy video, but I want to talk about through the lens of selling these firsts. And this, like, especially the 111 and 112 is a brutal spot right now, because you have this locked-in top 8. The locked-in top 8, you have the big 3 receivers, you have the big 4 quarterbacks, because McCarthy's going to get drafted absolute latest 11th overall to the Vikings. And then you have Bowers. Those are 8 guys who I would have inside of my top 4 rounds of startups. That is massive value you're getting at the top half of rookie drafts. Then you're going to have some combination. You see, we took Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas is like the clear 109, but he's a huge tier breakdown. Then your 110 is just going to be whatever other receiver goes in the first round, because right now there's so much enthusiasm for this wide receiver class, but it has really died down. We're getting reports right now where at first we were like, man, this wide receiver class might break records for having so many receivers drafted in the first round. This is a blurb from Charles Robinson. He's like a plugged-in guy with the NFL. He said, unless Georgia's Ladd McConkey or Xavier Legette crashes the party, I think the first round wide receiver group will be capped at 5 minimum and 6 maximum. That is Harrison Jr., Neighbors, Thomas Jr., Roman Dunze, and Xavier Worthy. A player teetering is A.D. Mitchell. So that is 5 to 6 receivers in the first round. And we used to think maybe it could have been like 8. So you're going to get a spot here where it's going to be Brian Thomas. Then it's going to be one of like Xavier Worthy or A.D. Mitchell or whatever going to the Chiefs. And then it's just going to be a bunch of weird landing spots where when we did this mock the other day, it was like Xavier Worthy to the Saints and like Troy Franklin to the Jaguars in the second round and Ricky Pearsall to the Colts in the second round and Xavier Legette to the Ravens in the second round. Like there's a way that this draft can fall pretty easily on day 2 where these wide receivers just get pretty nasty landing spots, and we just have, like, again, it's not that I don't like these receivers, but it's just a massive tier break from that top 8 where from that 110 through the middle of the second round, you can order your Troy Franklin, Keon Coleman, Ladd McConkey, Legette, Pearsall. Am I missing anybody? But there's just like a huge, and then you're going to get the running backs too, where it's going to be like one of the running backs, like Jonathan Brooks, will go to the Cowboys, and then you just have like this slew of like 6 players that you're debating between at the 111 and 112. And I would rather right now sell on the psychology of, oh, this is a first to move up in the first round, instead of having to sit there on draft day and be like, man, this late first kind of stinks. And we've seen research done. Shout out Mike Leone. He is somebody that works over at Establish the Run, where he did a study where he looked at viable outcomes, which was pretty much just like top 12 finishes for quarterbacks, top 24 for running backs, top 36 for wide receivers, top 12 for tight ends, and then elite outcomes. So top 6 quarterback, top 12 running back, top 18 wide receiver, top 6 tight ends. And he found that early second round picks are undervalued and late firsts are overvalued, where you can see the viable season percentage for late first isn't that far off of the middle of the first, but there's just not a ton of upside late, or that 6.25% elite season percentage isn't that far off of your early second. There's actually more upside in the early second. So we're not drafting for floor in the late first. We're looking to get dynasty studs, and you're just better off not picking there and using your early seconds and trading out of those late firsts because of the psychology of, oh, there's a 1 in front of this pick and not a 2. Whereas the difference between right now, like my 203 and the 111 in terms of my rookie draft rankings and my startup rankings, will be like about like a round of ADP, but the psychology of it is such a huge disconnect with that 1 in front of it. So I would, see what you can get for these 111s and 112s. And we talked about some options earlier of like bundling picks and seeing what you can get. But let's see, does anything stick out here where you're like selling the 111 and bundling? Yeah, like the 111 and the 210 to get Trey McBride, sign me up. If I could do this too, like if I don't love Tua, I don't love Purdy. If I can take one of those quarterbacks, add the 111 and tier up to a Kyler, tier up to a Trevor Lawrence, I would do that all day long. I don't know what we're doing here. 111 and 211 for Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, people are overpaying just because like rookie pick fever is at an all-time high. So if there ever was a time to trade off of your late firsts, it would be right now. But yeah, I don't think we need to go through anything else. I don't know how this works. If I will say, if I could sell my 111 for like a 2025 random first, I probably would. Just like a random one. This is a cool one too. Again, if you can take a late first, bundle it with freaking anything, and get yourself into the top 8 of rookie drafts, you need to go do that. Now, that is going to do it for us today. I appreciate all you guys that stick around and watch this. We're going to have, again, my final NFL mock draft will be out tonight. That'll be really fun. But yeah, I'm just stoked for the draft. I know there's not a ton to do right now, but I figured I'd give you guys some buy and sell trade targets, just fire some offers tonight, fire some offers tomorrow morning, see what you can get done. I have seen some trades happen in my leagues, and like again, right now is where you can get a lot of profit from having conviction, making trades right before one of the biggest, landscape shifting events of the year in the NFL draft. So as always, all of that, my top 250, I will have fresh RS grades. I'll make sure by the end of Sunday on day 3 that we will have fresh RS grades fully updated for this rookie class. So be on the lookout for all of that. 2024 RS grades. I'll have Dynasty rankings updated, not this weekend, but the weekend after that. My rookie rankings. So you have rookie drafts coming up. All of that will be on patreon.com/Ron Stewart. You'll find that in the description in the comment section down below. But if you can't support there, I appreciate you guys just sticking around, watching the channel during, kind of the slower, it's not the slower season because it's the draft right now. But you guys get what I'm saying. It's Dynasty season. I appreciate you guys that stick around and watch. But as always, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.
Stones, like this froze, ice cold, ice around my body like I'm